across the upper level, and we've seen dozens of people do that. The lower level, that's for cars and emergency vehicle only. I've been talking to folks out here. This young lady has been trying to get home from work. What has it been like out here?
It's crazy. Trying to get home to Brooklyn, actually. We're trying to avoid the downtown, so I'm going to Queens, and then somebody's going to drive me to Brooklyn. So.
Did you ever think that you'd be walking across the 59th Street Bridge?
No, actually, I was just telling that it's always seems so short, and the police officer just says that it's 40 minutes walk, so I don't think it's going to be much fun. So, but
Thank
we'll get
you.
there.
Thank you. Good luck. She's one of many that I've talked to out here. People are just amazed that this is the only way for many people to get over to Queens. The police out here, they're handling the situation beautifully. They're handling the traffic, the little traffic that is in this area. Buses right here. This one right here is not in service, but I've seen several buses come down 2nd Avenue. Even though they're in service, they are packed with people. Now, even though, like I said, police are handling the situation out here, I was just told they're also very worried about many of their own. I was told that some 80 police officers are missing. So though they're handling the traffic out here, doing their jobs, their minds are elsewhere, like many of us. In terms of the bridge reopening, they say there's no word yet when. Definitely not until tomorrow morning. We're live at the 59th Street Bridge. Kimberly Richardson, Fox 5 News. Back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, thanks, Kim. Mr. Bratton, let's talk about what the Secretary of Defense said one more time. He did not characterize these attacks as attacks of war. When do you get to that point?
I am not an expert at all in terms of the niceties of international language. I would assume the term war would be between nations rather than a cause or an individual. In this case, I think we all tend to be still thinking in terms of Osama bin Laden. It's a cause headed up by an individual. So I think there are probably niceties of language that he's dancing around.
You know, we talked about Osama bin Laden being elusive to the government, and yet you know of several people, including a reporter at another station, who actually had a sit-down interview with Osama bin Laden. How is that possible?
Well, that reporter went through quite a bit to get that interview, and bin Laden used that certainly for his own purposes at that particular time.
Okay, you're looking at a live picture right now. This is President Bush arriving at the White House, the doors opening of Marine One, and the president is scheduled to address the nation tonight at around 9 o'clock. We are going to be sure that we cover that live, obviously. He is on his way, or he has arrived, I should say, back in Washington, D.C., where he's going to have a speech tonight. He was in Florida when the entire explosion happened. Then he went to, I believe, Louisiana, to Louisiana, and then went to Nebraska. And at one point, the White House press corps was told that they could not use any cell phones. They were not told where they were going. There was a super tight and high security, and that's when they went to Louisiana. And then from Louisiana, they went to Nebraska, to a facility that Mr. Bratton, you are familiar with. What was that place in Nebraska that he went to? Can you describe it, and what was that all about?
Well, basically, there's a plan that the United States has anytime there are a number of terrorist incidents occurring at the same time, that high government officials are moved to these secure sites. In this case, in Omaha, Nebraska, it is literally an immense complex. From what I understand, I visited it many years ago in the 70s. It was actually designed for the nuclear war era. And it's, as you know, that's where SAC is located, the Strategic Air Command. And the idea was to get him into that below-ground secure facility. So ostensibly, the White House has a similar type of
what does it look like? Is it a nondescript kind of government building? Is it like a bunker?
It is a very significant bunker-like type of facility with gigantic doors in the sense of, and concrete. Again, I was there 25 years ago, and we didn't get much beyond the initial portion of it as far as getting down into the complex itself. But clearly, it's the fact that the president is arriving back at the White House now is sending a message that, that he's back in charge. He's been in charge all day, but for security purposes, they moved him around. But the symbolism of him getting back into the White House, much the same as the mayor today, covered with dust, getting on the air very quickly, and moving City Hall literally to Midtown Manhattan. what was going on the national level was going on here in New York also.
Very, very important to put that picture out there.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, in our newsroom right now is Mike Gilliam with an update. Mike.
Well, Rosanna, as the magnitude of this attack and the devastation kind of sinks in, a number of social and mental health agencies have set up numbers to offer people a chance to find their missing loved ones and or counseling. I'll give you a few of those numbers now. People searching for missing loved ones were directed to call the New York City Bureau of Labs. That number is 212-447-2998. That number again, 212-447-2998. New York City is anticipating a severe blood supply shortage, and we've talked about that off and on over the course of the day. To offer assistance to the American Red Cross, the number to call now is 1-800-HELP-NOW. That's 1-800-HELP-NOW. And if you want to offer blood, to donate blood, that number is 1-800-933-BLOOD. So those numbers are to help out the Red Cross both in donating blood and to offer your assistance. I will say now at this point, Westchester Medical Center has issued a release telling us that they have canceled all elective surgery for tomorrow in an effort to save blood. And finally, a number of other hospitals are offering mental health crisis services for people experiencing severe trauma after this attack. A couple of those are St. Vincent's Hospital. In Manhattan, you can call 212-604-8220. In Westchester, 914-925-5320. And in Staten Island, 718-354-6300. We'll continue to work the phones. We'll have much more for you as the evening progresses. Back to you, Rosanna.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Harvey Kushner is now joining us on our news line. He is also a terrorism expert. And Mr. Kushner, thank you very much for joining us. We have been talking about Osama bin Laden. What is your best estimate as to not only where he is, but was he in fact responsible for this attack?
Well, look, I certainly don't know where he's located. I believe he's in somewhere in Afghanistan, possibly near the Jalalabad region. And is he responsible? The question is, his fingerprints are all over this type of attack. I cannot think of one domestic terrorist organization that has the will, the desire, or the ability to pull something like this off. I mean, clearly, I was involved in the embassy bombing trial as an expert, and I sat through 9 months of testimony of how Osama bin Laden was spinning a web to entrap the United States. I heard informant after informant testify as to his capability and his will to do this. We've heard this issue through fatwas. We've seen the defenses ratcheted up worldwide every time he's issued a statement. He's hit the USS Cole. He's hit our embassies. He's been involved in other incidents worldwide. He's spread his web in the Middle East over the last couple of months. So my answer to you is clearly that if there's a short list, and I'm sure there is, Osama bin Laden has to be public enemy number one.
And yet, having said that, I mean, does it really do any good? Because we were talking earlier before with the defense secretary coming, just short of saying that this is an act of war. How do you declare war or have a war with an individual if, in fact, he is responsible for this?
Well, it's not just an individual. It's a group of individuals. It's an ideology. It's something that's permeated the third world, the Middle East, for years. It's been turning towards the United States. Most people here in our government have avoided it, have taken the ostrich effect by putting their head in the sand, feeling it's not going to happen here. We suffered the World Trade Towers back in 93. We had Oklahoma City in 95, but nobody would have the temerity to pull off something like this. I mean, people such as myself have gone on lecture tours, have gone on book speaking tours, have been on television, have consulted with the government from the FBI through the United States Customs, warned of this possibility, and each time the statement was said, well, has it happened? Well, unfortunately, it has happened, but this is the Pearl Harbor of terrorism. This shows that we have a new enemy, an enemy that's not going to declare war with uniforms and it can mount an attack by sending a signal. It's an enemy that's inside of us, it's outside of us. It's the new face of warfare in the 21st century. And it's very unfortunate that the United States was not prepared for this. Now, I understand that politicians, government officials, law enforcement said you can't harden a target to rule out the possibility of a terrorist attack. But I'm telling you, you go to an airport in the United States, you get on a plane, if anybody in your studio, including Commissioner Bratton, who I have the greatest respect for, says that he feels secure with the type of security that we have at our airports in the United States, then that's another issue.
Well, with all due respect, Mr. Krishna, how can you be prepared for something like this when there are two suicide pilots, or three suicide pilots, really, willing to take over planes and crash them into the tallest building in the city? How can you get prepared for that?
You're absolutely correct that you can't stop something from happening all the time. But certainly you should have a seven-day, 24-hour protocol available at our airports. I mean, let's take a look at this and speculate. If this airplane was taken over and hijacked, and scattered reports have it that the hijackers had knives and had box cutters and forced the passengers to the back of the plane and then took over and flew this plane, well, clearly we're at fault by allowing somebody to get on a plane with a knife. And we have the technology, we have the security skills, but we don't put them in place at our airports. And again, this is not to say that something you can rule out the possibility and harden the target so it can never happen. But I'm certain that most Americans understand that the security in our airports is not the way it should be. Now, unfortunately, we reached a point in time where we had this monumental event, and I'm frightened as to what type of measures are going to be put in place to try to rectify this in the future.
Yeah, just hang on there just a moment, Mr. Krishna.
Mr. Bratton, how do you feel about what Mr. Krishna just said?
It is a fact that it is too easy to penetrate security at airports and, let's face it, on planes. I travel internationally all the time. Once you're on that plane, access to the cockpit is not particularly difficult. The flight attendants are in and out of that cockpit frequently, so it's no difficulty once you're on the plane to get in. It is the issue of weapons.
Because we did have a report that, according to one of the people on the plane in Washington, she actually called her husband on the phone and
was able to call him twice, right?
Call him twice from her cell phone on the plane, saying that these attackers had knives with them.
Okay, I had not heard or seen that report. That, as you know, traveling through the airports, the metal detectors, but tests that I'm aware of frequently are able to penetrate those types of screening devices. What we'll see coming out of this will be, once again, a call to significantly improve the screening. How many reports have you done over time about the quality of the personnel that are manning these
That's
devices?
right.
Sure.
So are the airlines going to put their money where their mouth is and really get experienced people?
Part of the debate will be, once again, we've had this before after some of the tragedies of these in-flight crashes. Just how much can you, in fact, bear without literally shutting society down? And that's going to be the debate.
Well, it also seems that the security goes in waves. I mean, it's suddenly heightened, and then we kind of just get
well, the irony, New York was already
more.
on a heightened security alert and has been because of the Israeli-Palestinian situation. And so we've been up at a higher level than we would ordinarily be. And your reporter earlier talked about the level 4 at the airports. That is a very, very significant level, and is going to result in delays for people trying to get into the airports. We're very impatient people.
Sure. Just quickly, what about you personally? Where were you when you first heard the news about this?
My wife, Ricky, and I had just left voting down on 33rd Street. She got into a cab to go to work, and she's been reporting this story all day for another station. She got into work at 9:05 and has been on the air ever since. I went up to the apartment, I forgot my briefcase when I went off to vote, and just flipped the TV on for a second and looking at the World Trade Center on fire.
And you also said that you actually had some experience with someone in the building.
There is a colleague that had spoke to yesterday who was faxing me a news clipping. I have a contract with the school system in Paterson, New Jersey, and he had seen it in his local paper, and he was all excited about it. And this afternoon, I'm going through my fax inbox, and at 8:37 this morning, he sent me a fax from his office on the 65th floor of the World Trade Center, number 1 building.
Let's hope he got out.
It's,
Speaking about primary day, you were very involved in the primary race. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's any kind of significance with this terrorist attack on primary day?
Oh, who knows? I would think not, in the sense, let's face it, that has not been discussed, and really it doesn't need to be discussed today. There's other issues of a priority. So the fact of primary day, no, I don't I don't think so. Not at all.
Okay, Mr. Bratton, thank you very much for joining us. If you can please stay for just a few more moments, if you could. Let's check in now with Dave Price. He's joining us right now. He was at a mass at St. Patrick's, right?
You bet. In fact, that mass just was finished a little while ago. Cardinal Egan conducted the mass by himself, actually, led the mass. And as we surveyed those who were in attendance, and there were hundreds, not only New Yorkers, but people from around the world, and in fact, a number of people who just were visiting, didn't want to go back to their hotels, New Yorkers who didn't want to go back to their homes or who couldn't, and some who just needed a sense of religious solace, if nothing else. And the Cardinal, in fact, tried to provide it. Let's go and take a listen to some of what he said in his homily.
Certainly, I don't need to tell any of you, but a great tragedy has befallen our beloved city of New York. A great tragedy has befallen the capital of our nation and this entire land of freedom and justice. This morning, I found myself down in Lower Manhattan about 9 or 10 minutes after 9 in the morning. From that time, for the next 3.5 hours, I saw New York at its best.
Now, of course, Cardinal Edward Egan conducted the Mass, and then after the Mass spent a few minutes with reporters talking about his reaction and what he had gone through during the day. Take a listen. This must be one of the most heart-wrenching days of all of your days in the priesthood. Can you tell me about your emotion today?
This is easily the worst day in my 44 years. I can honestly say this is the first day that I've been in New York and I've been deeply unhappy. I cannot understand, but you know there are a lot of things we don't understand. And I believe that we have a provident God who is guiding us and who will take care of us. This morning when I went down to St. Vincent's, I have to say I stood there in the street in horror. We moved out into the middle of the street. We actually saw the second building come down. And it was a nightmare.
Of course, the Cardinal also said that during the day he had himself administered the sacrament of the sick, which many people know as the last rites to several people. And in fact, one of his own brothers had passed away during the day. One of the chaplains for the fire department was in fact killed as one of the many that suffered as a result of the blast. What's interesting is that as the Cardinal spoke, despite what we're hearing on the streets from a lot of people, he spoke of justice versus revenge, and spoke of faith which is often shaken but cannot be shattered. And indeed, he tried to not only celebrate the memory of those that have been lost as a result of this tragedy, but also honor those who, as he said, tirelessly, selflessly were giving of themselves today and, as he expected, into tonight and the many days ahead.
You were out there, Dave. You were also talking to some other people out on the street that experienced this, that were very close. What did they have to say? What kind of reaction did they have?
I've got to tell you, it ran the gamut. It was, this term is going to become hackneyed by the time we're all done broadcasting, but it was surreal. At one moment, you could look to your left, there were people rollerblading as if nothing was happening. One moment you'd look to your right, there would be people in tears. Another moment you would look down the block and there would be people screaming out of chaos or misinformation or concern. And you did a 360 and just the range of emotions was dizzying.
Yeah. Joining us also is Linda Schmidt this afternoon, rejoining us, I should say. We are going also, former Police Commissioner Bill Bratton is here providing his expertise as well. We want to check in, though, however, with Kimberly Richardson. She is at the 59th Street Bridge, which my suspicion is, Kimberly, is obviously still closed.
Yeah, it's not a good situation, Harry. This intersection out here at 2nd and 60th is probably like most here in the city. Things are out of whack. And people, even though night is falling, people here are still in shock hours after this morning's catastrophe. Here at the bridge, police are not letting any traffic into the city. I've seen a few emergency vehicles, ambulances, police cars come in. Other than that, no one's coming in. You can walk to Queens. A lot of people are getting off work. A lot of people I spoke to spent the afternoon and much of the morning in apartments, and friends that had apartments here in the city. They are walking across the bridge. They can use the upper level. The lower level here, as you can see, traffic is going out of the city on the lower level, heading to Queens. Also emergency vehicles going out there. Auxiliary police are out here. These are folks who have trained for something like this for a long time. They're out here. They're excited about finally getting ready to help and being able to help the police out here. In terms of when the bridge will reopen to normal traffic, that's anyone's guess. Definitely not before tomorrow morning. A lot of people I talked to going home said, you know what, they're staying home tomorrow. They are not coming into the city. Probably a very good idea for a lot of people. For now, we're live at the 59th Street Bridge. Kimberly Richardson, Fox 5 News. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Kimberly, thank you very much. One of the suggestions that the mayor had made at his news conference earlier this afternoon, if you don't have to go to work tomorrow, do not go to work. He said perhaps treat it like a weather day. Certainly, the fewer people that are in the city, the better off we're all going to be as far as certainly tomorrow is concerned. Dave, you were talking about this surreal experience that you were experiencing, you almost had, and a lot of other people were experiencing. When I came in, I came across the George Washington Bridge. Fortunately, we were able to get through several roadblocks using our press passes, and the police officers were good enough to allow us to get through. And as I looked down the river, I could see this plume of smoke coming across. There were also people lined up there at the bridge waiting to try to get into Manhattan. As I was driving in, we gave 3 other people a ride into Manhattan. All right, let's go to John Ashcroft right now. He is at the White House.
The security of our nation. They are an assault on the security and the freedom of every American citizen. We will not tolerate such acts. We will expend every effort and devote all the necessary resources to bring the people responsible for these acts, these crimes, to justice. Now is the time for us to come together as a nation to offer our support, our prayers for victims and for their families, for the rescue workers, for law enforcement officials, for every one of us that has been changed forever by this horrible tragedy. The following is a summary of the known facts surrounding today's incidents. American Airlines Flight 11 departed Boston for Los Angeles, hijacked by suspects armed with knives. This plane crashed into the World Trade Center. United Airlines Flight 175 departed Boston for Los Angeles, was hijacked and crashed into the World Trade Center. American Airlines Flight 77 departed Washington Dulles for Los Angeles, was hijacked and crashed into the Pentagon. United Airlines Flight 93 departed Newark for San Francisco, was hijacked and crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Crime scenes have been established by the federal authorities in New York, in Washington, D.C. area, in Pittsburgh, in Boston, and in Newark. The full resources of the Department of Justice, including the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Immigration and Naturalization Service, the U.S. Attorney's offices, the U.S. Marshals Service, the Bureau of Prisons, the Drug Enforcement Administration, and the Office of Justice Programs are being deployed to investigate these crimes and to assist survivors and victim families. Thousands of FBI agents in all of the field offices across the country and in the international Legat offices, assisted by personnel from other Department of Justice agencies, are cooperating in this investigation. The FBI has established a website where people can report any information about these crimes. That address is www.ifccfbi.gov. That address again, www.ifccfbi.gov. Individuals can report any information they know about these crimes to that website. It takes courage for individuals to come forward in situations like this, and I urge anyone with information that may be useful and helpful to authorities to use this opportunity. The Office of Victims of Crime has established a toll-free 800 number for family and friends of victims. They can call 800-331-0075 to leave contact information for a future time when more information is available, to find out information about a victim, or to find out information about the rights of victims and the services available to victim survivors and victim families. The determination of these terrorists will not deter the determination of the American people. We are survivors, and freedom is a survivor. A free American people will not be intimidated, nor will we be defeated. We will find the people responsible for these cowardly acts, and justice will be done. Rami?
Every single American lost something today. And every one of us at this time expresses our deepest sympathy to the victims of today's tragedies and their families. It is now our mission to begin the healing from this tragedy. From the moment that we learned of these attacks, the Department of Health and Human Services has begun readying teams and resources to be sent to New York City and the Washington area to meet any needs of state and local officials. So far, we have sent 4 disaster medical teams to New York City, and 3 of these disaster medical teams to the Washington, Northern Virginia, Baltimore area. These medical teams each consist of about 35 physicians, nurses, and emergency medical technicians. They are all trained to deal with traumatic injuries and other emergency needs. We've also sent 4 disaster mortuary operational response teams to New York and 3 to the greater Washington area. We're also in the process of shipping a great deal of emergency medical supplies to New York City with the help of the Centers for Disease Control. In short, we're making the full force of the Department of Health and Human Services, both its resources and medical expertise available to the areas that need our assistance. We've also this afternoon activated...
Tommy Thompson, another briefing at the White House, a series of briefings that we have been carrying for you live this afternoon. Of course, President Bush is going to be addressing the nation later on this evening. We will have that live as well. Let's turn now to John Rowland. He is in the newsroom with former Mayor David Dinkins. John?
All right, thanks very much, Harry. And that's 9 o'clock tonight, as you know. And the mayor, Mr. Mayor, you were mayor in '93 when the terrorists attacked the World Trade Center. Talk about then as opposed to now.
Indeed, I was. I was in Kyoto, Japan, and it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, as I recall, in Japan when it hit here in New York. And we were able to, because we had monitors all over a large suite in the hotel, and we were on the telephone with Ray Kelly, who was my police commissioner, and he was in the command center. And so we could actually view the crater and talk with him, and it was almost like being here. But that which Mayor Giuliani and Governor Pataki and President Bush face today is eminently more serious and more difficult than what we faced in '93. And so I call upon all persons to be supportive of the mayor and the governor and the president. It is tremendously important that we pull together as a people. My observation is that Americans are pretty tough. New Yorkers are especially tough. And we survive, and we will overcome. I mentioned a friend of mine, Peter Johnson, who has a couple of young daughters, 8 and 6, who said, "Daddy, what's this all about?" And his response was, "Some bad people did this and we're going to get them. And whether one uses 4-syllable words or not, it adds up to the same thing. We're going to get them.
Well, and of course, we did get the ones who bombed it back then. There was a report that we were attacking Afghanistan earlier because we thought Osama bin Laden was bad. That turned out not to be true. What's going on in Afghanistan now is nothing more than part of the civil war that's going on there. Mm-hmm. But as you said, we will get them, and we will get who did it this time.
And it's important that we get the right ones.
Exactly.
Because were we to attack the wrong people, not only will the guilty ones go free, but we will have attacked some innocent people.
Well, what do you have to say about the way that things have been handled so far today?
Well, I think the mayor and the governor and the president have been superb, trying to calm the people, asking that they not panic, as indeed that won't help, and trying to give them confidence that our government is on the case. And I think that's tremendously important. This is a time for all Americans to pull together.
New Yorkers have responded remarkably well to what happened, though, today.
I think so. I've seen the people walking north from downtown, and many of them apparently walked that whole distance beyond Midtown. And there's a spirit among them, it seems to me. Obviously, there's some fear and a little panic, but they've contained it. And I think a part of the reason they've been able to do that is that our government officials have given them the assurance that things are going to be okay.
Mr. Mayor, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, John.
All right, back to you.
All right, John, thank you very much. Linda?
Okay, now we've got Fox reporter Rick Leventhal, who's in Lower Manhattan right now for us on Church Street. Rick.
Linda, I'm unable to hear you. I can't answer questions, but I can set the scene for you here on Church Street. We're just a few blocks north of the World Trade Center complex, which is still smoking at this hour. Still heavy clouds of smoke pouring up and out from that area. Just about 5:30 Eastern time. I don't know if you saw the pictures of the World Trade Number 7 come crashing down, but we were standing right here when that happened. Another 47-story building coming down, that building on fire for most of the afternoon, and we were warned that it might come down, and in fact, it did. A scene of chaos out here this morning, certainly after those two commercial jetliners hijacked, each one of them hitting each of the Twin Towers, starting fires, sending people panicking, running for the exits, although I should tell you that firefighters who have been inside the buildings tell me that the evacuation was relatively orderly. People heading for the exits, going down the stairs, people from as high as the 77th, possibly even the 90th floor, able to get out of the buildings before the buildings came crashing down to the ground. The scene, again, though, in the streets was one of chaos, police everywhere, fire and emergency workers all over the place, and certainly after the buildings hit the ground, creating huge clouds of smoke and rubble, people went running for their lives in the streets. The saddest news is that there may have been hundreds of emergency workers on the ground at the base of the first tower when it collapsed, and many of those men and women are feared dead at this hour. The problem is because the area is still so hot, still flames there, still a lot of burning debris and smoking hot debris, they can't really get in there and begin the search and rescue in earnest. That probably won't take place until sometime tomorrow morning. In the meantime, the street behind me, Church Street, looks more like a construction zone. A lot of heavy equipment out here, dump trucks, front-end loaders, cranes, and that sort of thing. Basically staging here now, preparing for probably first light when things have cooled down a bit and they can go in and start clearing out some of the heavy rubble and debris and hopefully find some survivors in that rubble. I can tell you that there's a large section of one of the World Trade Center towers in the middle of Church Street, just in front of where the towers were located. I can also tell you that witnesses who've been to the scene tell me that one of the towers has maybe 10 to 20 stories left standing. The other is virtually a crater in the ground. The area immediately surrounding the World Trade Center littered with rubble, probably 1 foot to 2 feet high. A very, very distressing scene here. Certainly the work continues to clean up and hopefully get to some survivors who may still be in there. Reporting live in Lower Manhattan, Rick Leventhal, Fox News.
All right, Rick, thank you very much. We have had a series of briefings all throughout the afternoon. We want to remind you that the President is going to be speaking to the nation tonight. What you're watching right now, this is live from Capitol Hill. Congressional leaders are having a news conference, and this is a silent prayer vigil that they are conducting right now.
Thank beside her and guide her
I'll toss to that.
through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Members of the congressional delegation. There is Congressman Daschle hugging Congressman Charles Schumer. They were singing God Bless America on the steps of the Capitol. These are the congressional leaders that concluded a youth conference and also had a silent prayer vigil on the steps of the Capitol.
Now, Harry, what we're actually going to be doing now is we're going to be going to some new video that we have here showing a different view of the collapse from earlier today at the World Trade Center. Now, this is something that you have not seen before. Like I said, this is a different view of what happened earlier today. You can just see the debris raining out over the thick clouds, thick black clouds, and the flames. It almost reminds you of when they're actually imploding a building, like they're intentionally trying to implode a building. That's exactly what it looks like there. Just the flames melting the steel, and the structure just could not withstand that. Just came tumbling down. And these are shots that we haven't seen yet today.
There were many people walking up Fifth Avenue.
Let me interrupt you here real quickly. These are fighter jets that were actually flying over the city today. As you know, all of the airports were closed down, so there weren't any commercial flights in the air. However, this afternoon, I guess it was around 3 o'clock, I was upstairs here on the 5th floor, and one of the windows were open, and I heard this roar of jets. This is what it was. Fighter jets flying over the city. Go ahead, Dave. What do you want
I
to
was
say?
just mentioning, you were talking about the breadth of the debris field. There were people walking up Fifth Avenue who were top to bottom covered in soot and just walking as if they were just heading home or heading somewhere. The only thing that would distinguish this early part of the afternoon from any other day in Manhattan is, number one, well, there were several things. Number one, the direction of traffic was almost universally to the north. And number two, there was a silence. Even though the city and the streets were full at that point, very few people were talking. And it reminded me of the footage we saw of the aftermath of the Kennedy assassination.
Certainly. Well, you know, I mean, we talked to one of the people who witnessed this whole thing. She was in building 6, I believe, 6 or 7. 7. She was in building 7, and she, I think, was talking about, and what you're describing is the typical shock syndrome of somebody who has been through a horrifically traumatic experience, just kind of, you know, walking up the street like that.
And in a very 21st century moment, whereas in the 60s, everyone was walking who wasn't victimized with a transistor radio. Now, everyone was trying to get a cell, get a signal,
that's right,
and had a Walkman in the other ear
at the same
to try
time
and figure out what the latest news was.
Dave, will you just stay there just for a moment? We want to go to Mario Vasquez right now. He is at the scene, and we can see that the light is beginning to fade.
The night scene, a triage center. That's what Pace University is now expected to be that the entire night long. As you can see, fire trucks, NYPD trucks coming out of the scene right now. Pace University, again, is a triage center as the workers continue the rescue and the recovery operation. You can see the smoke is still coming out from the World Trade Center area, and also at Beekman Hospital, at their emergency center. The situation there, it continues to be full of tension, yet at the same time, they tell us full of hope. We spoke with a surgeon there just a few minutes ago who confirmed for us when we asked him that what the situation was as far as being confirmed that it was a temporary morgue. Well, he did say the city has asked them to make provisions to act as a temporary morgue if need be. Let's update you on the situation here. As far as the hospital is concerned, they have admitted about 300 victims. They say 3 have perished. Also, they say that the nature of the injuries tend to be exhaustion, being overwhelmed, smoke inhalation being suffered by the rescue workers, fire, police, and EMS. They're saying that, again, they expect another wave of people perhaps to come in. Actually, they're saying that they're standing by and hoping that victims are coming out of the scene that can be treated. They say right now that does not look like that may be the situation as they continue to work round the clock here, not only at Beekman, but also at Pace University. So we'll continue to keep you posted of the situation as it develops. Now let's go to see what the doctor says.
We saw things that you see in war.
What have some of those people told you, perhaps, while they're being treated, their reactions? What have they said?
Mostly disbelief. People had no idea of why or how something happened. In America, we take our freedom very nonchalant. We take it for granted. No one ever thought this would happen here.
We had heard word unofficially this perhaps part of this area would be turned into a temporary morgue. What can you tell us about that?
It's a very sad thought to even think about, but obviously there are many thousands of people who are in buildings. Rescue teams have no access to them at this time, and as time goes on, the likelihood of for anyone to survive in the face of such heat and destruction and weight, as time goes on, it's less likely that people will survive. Of course, we're very hopeful, and there is likely to be pockets of safety where people can wait, and that's what we're hoping for. We're all standing around hoping. Our frustration right now is, and we've spoken to many hospitals, that there is not a stream of injury coming out. Everyone is waiting, there's a lot of damage, and there's nothing for us to do.
Let me add that as one of those rescue workers was being carried in on a stretcher to the emergency room, he was shouting, he was saying, "I have got to get back over there." An example of how strong the spirit is to go back and continue the rescue, the recovery process. Again, they're asking people here at the triage area, if you do not have any immediate duties here or at the area hospitals, to head home, to stay home and stay safe, and let the doctors, the experts here, perform the triage and, of course, the treatment of the victims as they come in from the World Trade Center disaster. I'm Mario Boscas, just outside Pace University. That's the latest from here. Back to you.
All right, Mario, thank you very much. We're going to check in with John Rowland right now. He is in the control room, and he has an update on some of the rescue workers. John.
Yeah, and it isn't a very good one, Harry. Some very brief information. As you know, there was a gap between the time the first plane hit the One World Trade Center and that second plane hit, about 18 minutes. Well, during that first 18 minutes, a lot of firefighters, a lot of EMT workers, a lot of police officers responded. Now, that's part of the problem, because we're told that of the 400 firefighters who responded immediately to that first plane, maybe as many as half of them are dead. Maybe as many as half of them are dead. That word comes from the vice president of the New York City Firefighters Union. So you're talking about at least 200 firefighters. We don't have any estimates or any numbers yet on the police officers or any of the other rescue workers who were there. This is the first of the news that has just come in. Perhaps as many as 200 firefighters that we know of dead. Harry?
All right, John, thank you very much. We are going to be certainly getting in more and more statistics as the night goes on here, and the numbers are going to be mounting, and by the time this whole thing is over, I'm sure that these numbers are just going to be absolutely astounding and shocking, well beyond the belief of virtually any of us. Mike Gilliam now is in the newsroom. He has an update on some of the things that are closed and what people are trying to do to react to this tragedy. Mike.
Yes, Harry, this has actually sparked a number of closures for tomorrow. Mayor Giuliani says to help with the cleanup and the rescue effort, he is closing down Lower Manhattan from 14th Street South. That will be closed tomorrow. All businesses, including Wall Street and the financial district, will be closed tomorrow. Also, the U.S. Postal Service says that there will be no mail collection done from post office boxes in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens tomorrow. Anybody who wants to mail anything is going to have to take it into a post office. And New York City schools and Catholic schools will also be closed. We've got this word just in a few moments ago. The schools in Newark will be open tomorrow. Newark schools say that they are able to protect their students and keep them safe, and that they, in fact, will be open tomorrow. A couple of other things. Morgan Stanley Communications says that they've set up a phone number now for employees and their relatives to call for information on friends and colleagues. That number is 1-888-883-4391. Once again, that is the Morgan Stanley emergency number. It is 1-888-883-4391. Also, people searching for missing loved ones have been directed to call the New York City Bureau of Labs. Their number is 212-447-2998. That number again is 212-447-2998. That's the New York City Bureau of Labs for anyone searching for missing loved ones here in the city that may have fallen with the World Trade Center. Also, the thruway has been reopened now from exit 8 down to exit 1, and the Long Island Railroad says that they're going to be back to normal service right about now. The Long Island Railroad should be back to normal service, and they anticipate no problems tomorrow morning. That's a story from our update desk right now. Back to you, Harry.
Okay, Mike, I'm going to take it from here. Now we're going to go to James Ford, who is down at Broome and 6th, where he has pretty much been all day. James?
Well, that's right. We have been coming back to this location from down at the World Trade Center all day long. This is about 20 blocks north of the World Trade Center. I'll get out of the shot and show you this twilight picture of the World Trade Center right now of where we had been, about 3 blocks north of the World Trade Center. The smoke still coming up from what we could see at our vantage point, again, about 3 blocks north. The towers have burned down to about a 4-story tall steel skeleton. That's what's there now. And what has also been there all day are people who live in the financial district, as well as people who work at the World Trade Center and in the buildings immediately surrounding the World Trade Center. They have been sheltered. Those who managed to survive, that is, have been sheltered all day long and just got out within the last hour or so. We talked with them while we were down at the World Trade Center. Here's more on their story. Up to 10 hours after the first collision, people still came out of the area surrounding the World Trade Center, from babies whose families live in the financial district.
We've been here since about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And the power just went off, so we were told that everything's turned off, so we're going to head up north and go to friends' houses.
To workers who spent all day in shelters and got out minutes ago. What do you do now?
Go home, hug my family, give them lots of kisses, and pray for these people who are lost. It's terrifying. I don't know how people can do that. There's another way to get your message across than doing this to too many innocent people.
I don't know. I don't know how you get the mindset to come back again. But you have to, somewhere along the way. You got to find your strength in God and your friends and your family.
We had papers flying from the offices right on our balcony, picked up cards, birthday cards, Christmas cards, stationery that flew from the building right down on our building.
That debris, some people collected. They say it was for a good cause.
If they are dead, then isn't this stuff keeping them alive, like for memory and for people to think about? Like just how personal that is. You're finding handwritten stuff. If they are, it's just, I don't know.
But not everyone who went in to help came out, as firefighters remind us. When we were here at just before 9, there were already at least 1,000 emergency workers like yourself on the scene. Then the building collapsed. You're concerned for them now, if you don't mind.
We got guys missing, that's all I could say.
Then World Trade Center Building 7 collapsed, leaving more questions about who is safe. And what you're looking at now is a live picture of a lot of emergency vehicles heading back into the area surrounding the World Trade Center. For the reasons just said right there, it is still not clear just who is safe as the building continues to burn. We can also say that we have seen literally thousands of law enforcement officers armed and with billy clubs, trying to keep the area around the World Trade Center, certainly south of Houston Street, safe from any looters, from gawkers, from onlookers. And I will definitely say that a lot of those law enforcement officers we talked with said that they are simply stunned beyond belief from all of the carnage that they have seen from civilians and from their own people. We're live downtown. I'm James Ford, Fox 5 News. Back to you.
All right, James, thank you very much. Adrienne DiNardo usually talks about the evening commute at this time. She has some details, however, about what's open, what's closed, and how traffic is moving or not moving around. Adrienne?
Thank you very much, Harry. And still, it's the problem trying to get into the city from all the bridges and tunnels. Everything remains closed as you try to get into the city. And all roads around those bridges and tunnels, we have many closures and many backups as well. So the best thing to do is stay home right now. Let's go to the maps and explain what is happening. Again, the airports remain closed till at least noon tomorrow, where they expect domestic flights to take off. Again, do call your airlines well in advance. We've had closures on the LIE through Queens throughout the afternoon. They're using that as an emergency roadway. Westchester Airport also closed with all the other area airports. Again, all the bridges and tunnels into the city are closed. Outbound upper level George Washington Bridge has been reopened again. They closed it. They reopened it. As of now, it's reopened. The outbound Lincoln Tunnel was open. Now it is closed. So the only Hudson River crossing that is open is the outbound upper level of the George Washington Bridge. Again, inbound, everything is closed. LIRR, as Mike just said a few minutes ago, is back on track into and out of the city. Metro North and New Jersey Transit trains still with limited service. Most of the outbound subways are up and running in the city. The PATH trains are running both ways, 33rd to Hoboken, with no stops. The ferries are a good alternate. They're leaving from Pier 11, West 38th, East 34th, Pier A, and also the Staten Island Ferry outbound side. That is up and running again. And Northeast Corridor line of Amtrak, that service is back as well. New Jersey bound Goethals, Outer Bridge crossing, Bayonne Bridges is open. The Verrazano Bridge has been reopened in both directions. Queens-bound and Bronx-bound Whitestone, Throgs Neck, Triborough bridges are open. Outbound Queensboro Bridge and Queens Midtown Tunnel is open. Brooklyn Battery Tunnel and the Brooklyn Bridge remain closed in both directions. Brooklyn-bound Williamsburg and Manhattan bridges, pedestrians only. Again, George Washington Bridge outbound upper level is the only thing open right now at the Hudson River crossings. And again, westbound LIE closed throughout Queens. Many closures throughout Westchester as you make your way south to the city. Many closures approaching the George Washington Bridge, the Lincoln and the Holland. Steer clear of those areas. And alternate side parking rules are in effect tomorrow. They have not suspended them. They are officially in effect tomorrow. And we do expect most mass transit to be back on a normal schedule tomorrow. But of course, every system has to see how it's going. But right now, nothing is getting into the city at the bridges and the tunnels. Back to you, Harry.
Okay, Adrienne DiNardo, we thank you very much for that quite extensive update for us tonight. Just a reminder, the president is expected to address the nation tonight at 9 o'clock. And we, of course, will be carrying that address live right here on Fox 5. Linda.
Harry, we have some new information for you, and it's some sad information again as well. A police source says 78 police officers are missing and are feared dead tonight. Now, that follows the news that John Rowland just gave us a short time ago, where someone from the firefighters union said as many as 200 firefighters who were among the 400 to first respond to the scene down there at the World Trade Center incident are believed to be dead at this point, and now 78 police officers missing and feared dead. Also, we want to give you here the number for the Terror Victim Hotline, which U.S. Attorney General John Ashcroft announced earlier. That number right on the screen right now, 800-331-0075. If you're looking for any type of information, if you're looking for some help, give that 800 phone number a call. Again, 800-331-0075, the Terror Victims Hotline. Harry?
Just a quick correction here. The president is going to be addressing the nation at 8:30. We understood it was going to be at 9 o'clock, but now it is going to be at 8:30 tonight. And nonetheless, we will be having it live here, right here on Fox 5. Dave Price has been out all day long talking to some people. And you know, when you're out on the street like that, it's kind of interesting that you come across some really unusual slices of life, I guess.
Well, what you truly realize on a day like today, especially when you're looking for it, is what a melting pot this city truly is, not only with those who live here, but with those who are coming to visit and taste a little of the American dream. And what was fascinating today, Harry, as I was walking up Fifth Avenue, I ran into two people who were visiting from the Bosnia-Herzegovina region with postcards of the Twin Towers in their hands that had been written and that they were headed to mail. And I asked the gentlemen if they had just purchased the cards, and they said no, indeed, they had toured or been to the World Trade Center yesterday. And I asked what their perspective was, having witnessed what they saw today, and they said, this is something which we would expect in our land. This is a result of an act of war. One would never expect violence of this magnitude in the United States. So you have the horror of that, and certainly the fear that is put into so many people who witnessed what we saw today. But then this evening, as you walk around the city, in Times Square, there are now 3 large banners, and I don't have the quotes from all of them, but one of the large banners across Times Square tonight is simple, and it reads, "God bless America." And it hangs across Times Square. And that's perhaps the strongest and most resounding message that the mayor and the president and indeed people throughout New York would like to send to the world.
Well, especially with what you're just saying there with the tourists. I mean, people coming here to New York City on vacation, nobody anticipates anything like this happening, especially someone coming from a war-torn area like Bosnia-Herzegovina. But I mean, just a snapshot really of some of the things, the reactions from some people. We have a couple of quotes here. One person said, all of a sudden there were people screaming. I saw people jumping out of the building. Their arms were flailing. I stopped taking pictures and just started crying. That's from a photojournalist right here in New York who's used to dealing with disaster but was just totally overwhelmed.
A lot of times people turn to religion, and you were at St. Patrick's where they held a mass. Also, you spoke with Cardinal Egan.
Yeah, I had asked Cardinal Egan about the fact that clearly many people have a shattered sense of what is to be expected and a shattered sense of faith. And I asked him what he expects people will have in their minds and hearts as they wake up tomorrow morning. And here's what he said earlier today.
We are not afraid. We are a courageous people. We're in the hands of our God, and we're a strong and good people. Fear is not part of our experience today.
Quite a simple message. It's the same message which he delivered in his homily. And he said it is very important to those who are watching on the world stage that all of us send that message loud and clear. He said we cannot change our routine. We cannot go out, fear going outside. And we must continue, even though in the next several days it will be heartbreaking and difficult. We must send this message, and it must be resounding.
Exactly. Certainly that's one of the things that all the public officials seem to be really stressing tonight, from the president to the senators to the governor to Mayor Giuliani, that as much as possibly as we possibly can, that tomorrow, we're going to be open for business. This is not something that's going to shut down the country, not something that's going to shut down the city. Maybe certain elements are going to be affected by this because of just what happened in terms of the physical location of where everything is. But we're going to keep going here, and everything is going to turn out all right, because there is a will behind a lot of what is going on.
Now, certainly with faith, a lot of people are going to get through this, but we're looking at pictures of the stark reality of what we are going to have to overcome over the next several days. Mayor Koch, by the way, was really the only notable, if you will, who attended that mass. And in a few minutes, I'll hopefully have a couple of sound bites from Mayor Koch, who had quite a stronger tone for those who committed these crimes earlier today. And I'll bring you that in just a little while.
But what's happening when we look at this video of the rescue crews down there? I mean, this is something that we're going to be dealing with for, if not a couple of days, at least the next several weeks. I mean, the rescue crews are going to be down there, unfortunately, having to go through that rubble from the 2 towers collapsing. And it is so reminiscent of the Oklahoma City bombing, where the rescue crews were there searching for bodies for weeks on end. That could be what we're dealing with here.
You remember the shock of the World Trade Center bombing in '93, the Oklahoma City bombing, when everyone said, we cannot believe that terror has come to our shores. Of course, Oklahoma City being an issue of domestic terrorism.
Sure.
But still, this puts those other 2 terroristic activities in perspective. This is massive, and this is not something which a week from now will be over. We'll certainly be dealing with it for a while.
Well, some have compared this, certainly it's tantamount to the attack on Pearl Harbor. We have heard some of our public officials, most notably senators in Washington, saying that this is America's worst hour, but yet it can be America's finest hour as we come out of it. The president, once again, will be addressing the nation at 8:30 tonight. We will be carrying that live. We will also be carrying various updates as far as what's open, what is not open throughout the evening tonight. We'll also have some numbers. So as you're watching our coverage, you might want to have a pencil and paper handy to jot down some of the numbers. There is also another number that the Justice Department is going to be setting up if they have not set it up already, and that's going to have to do with some of the victims of this tragedy. Victims who have survived and unfortunately casualties of this situation. The Justice Department setting up that toll-free number. I'm not even sure if we have it yet because they are still maybe in the process of getting it up. But as soon as we do get it, we will certainly pass it on to you.
Harry, something else that we want to touch on here too are the explosions that happened outside the Afghan capital of Kabul. That happened just a little while ago. And smoke could be seen there. Now, this, of course, is where Osama bin Laden has been for the past several years. The explosions there came seconds apart. At first, we weren't sure if it was the U.S. retaliating against Osama bin Laden because he is the #1 suspect at this point, believed to have coordinated this massive effort and massive strike against the U.S. However, Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld said today from the Pentagon that the U.S. government is not connected to the explosions in Afghanistan. However, tonight when the president addresses the country, hopefully he will be addressing this as well. Harry?
We continue our coverage. Let's check in now with Penny Crone. Penny Crone is in Lower Manhattan, and she has this for us. Penny, how you doing?
What's happened here is now settling into the thousands and thousands of workers and EMS workers that have come down here tonight. We're going to show you a shot here at Pace University. This is the triage center. Now, this is very distressing news because of the collapse in the World Trade Center and then the next collapse in World Trade Center 7, they are not able to find any bodies. They are not able to really look for any survivors at this time. Now, we're going to give you a shot up the street. As you're looking down this street, you're looking towards Wall Street. You're looking towards where the World Trade Center is. There is absolutely no electricity down there. It is dark. It is very, very adverse conditions to be working in. Earlier today, we went down there. We're going to show you some pictures of what it looked like. It was almost a ghost town. Tons and tons and tons of white kind of sand fell as the buildings all fell. Everyone down here is wearing masks and using eye solutions. It's very, very hazardous. People were walking. They were walking aimlessly. Police officers were on every corner. I can't see the pictures, but you probably can see the bull on Wall Street. Wall Street went from a hustling, bustling, exciting place to an absolute ghost town. This firefighter was working at the scene. Here's what he has to say.
There's bodies, mostly civilian bodies. We haven't seen any firefighter or police bodies yet. But like I said before, they pulled us out because they were afraid that there was going to be another building collapse.
We found that one survivor at this point that I saw since I've been here. And we're still looking.
Everyone is doing whatever they can. The unfortunate thing is that not too many people can get close to where the actual explosion and where the buildings collapse. They're working there. They're doing everything they can. It is so hazardous down here. It is so terribly hazardous. One of the main things they're trying to do is to get all civilians totally away from this area. This area, this specific area, has been sealed off by the U.S. Marshals and by the police department. Again, they are only bringing people that they can find that need help here. Also at Beekman Hospital. But again, the most distressing news is right now rescue workers can't even seem to be able to get near anyone because of the hazardous conditions. Reporting live, I'm Penny Crone, Fox 5 News. Now back to you guys.
All right, Penny, thank you very much. On the newsline right now, Tracy Gary, she's with the American Red Cross. Tracy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, what's the situation right now? I know you were asking for blood earlier in the afternoon. I'm assuming that you still need people to do that as well.
Actually, it's the New York Blood Center that is collecting blood from people. New Yorkers have been amazingly supportive, and they showed up at the New York Blood Center today and donated blood. I know that the Blood Center is opening up again to receive donations at Martin Luther King High School tomorrow at 8 a.m. The American Red Cross is responding by sending out trained disaster workers into the community. We have about 7 emergency response vehicles in various areas throughout the community, and they are staffed with crisis counselors. We are sending out crisis counselors who are professional mental health workers to work with people who are processing this tragedy.
How many are you sending out, Tracy?
Well, we have upwards of 150 crisis counselors, and we also put out a call for anyone who is New York State certified to come in and volunteer their time. So we have a large bank of people that we were able to send out in teams, and we're sending them to transportation hubs and anywhere where people might be gathered throughout the city.
Tracy, it's Linda Schmidt.
Hi, Linda.
Hi. Wanted to know, have you guys gotten any type of response from people actually seeking out these counselors?
I haven't spoken directly to the counselors yet because I know they're out really busy talking to people, but I know there is a very, very big need for them because we've been sending so many teams out. I know that people are experiencing a lot of shock due to this tragedy.
What kinds of things did they talk to the people about? I mean, it's my understanding here, the way you're describing it, that they're actually going to be out on the streets or out at certain centers. What kind of things do they discuss?
They're really going to be helping people process their emotions and just letting them know that what they're feeling is normal and that there are a variety of ways people can react to this type of a tragedy.
And Tracy, this is something that you guys, of course, are experienced in, and this is what you're trained to do, that you guys really kick into gear in time of a crisis like this. How else is the Red Cross involved here other than the crisis counselors